just start it up when you're ready.
All right, we are back for another week of Texans game recap. You got the same squad as last week. You got me, Jackson, and you got. Okay,
Oh
well,
shoot.
that fell flat.
Um,
You got Chase.
whoop
You
de
got
do,
Chase
whoop de
back.
do, whoop de do, whoop de do.
You got Chase
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the studio. We're doing this again. This one's going to be a little more upbeat. It's going to be a little more fun for obvious reasons. Texans won this time around. Needed it in a big time way. Chase, your thoughts?
I absolutely am glad about this win because of the absolute disaster that happened last week. That was absolutely horrendous. But I'm glad that we won against this team because obviously, well, I just don't
Means
like the
more.
Cowboys.
Yeah, it just means more. Battle for Texas. Now, it helps us a lot because we were kind of in a situation where if you're at 6-4, one more loss, kind of, it's almost time to press the panic button there.
Yeah,
Luckily we didn't have to. And Dallas is obviously reeling this year. They're down to their backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, who we'll talk about in a minute. Dak's probably done for the year. But uh, just to kind of
hmm
quote what I sent to Chase after this game was done, sparing the details, but if you know it, you know it. ETA is a great way to explain this
yep,
game
yep,
kind of through and
yep.
through. I had to miss the first half because I was at a Texas Tech basketball game, but I kept along. I had it on in my pocket, so I would occasionally look up and see what was going on. But I really tuned in the second half. Got home around halfway through the second half, or halfway through the third quarter. Sorry, I really started watching there, and I feel like that's kind of when it all went down. Really,
Absolutely. And I was watching I think pretty much just the whole game. And at the start, I was having some mixed feelings because honestly, I felt like the offense was just looking a little bit iffy again. But up until they started giving not CJ, Joe Mixon a lot more runs, is when I started to feel the confidence and that we were probably gonna take this one home because obviously Joe Mixon has just been playing absolutely amazing the um throughout the this game. He didn't play very well last game, but he did play amazing, which leads us to the first talking point.
yeah. And before we get to there, it just felt like the vibes were better going into. You get back Nico Collins, who's
Yep.
obviously an integral part of this team and is going to be an essential cog if this team wants to make a deep playoff run. And I think his absence was very evident. You know, you got guys like Tank Dell, Robert Woods, Xavier Hutchinson. Like you got guys that are good. Like they're not gonna like be bad. Like they're reliable. But Nico Collins is just a different animal. He's just a dog like that. And so to get him back, we'll go over his stats in a minute. It's just good to have him back, knowing that if you're ever in a pinch, third down and sort of long, third and 6, 3rd and 7, you have your guy, your go-to guy that you can fall back on and just we've seen it plenty of times where CJ's scrambling, just kind of seemingly throws it up and it somehow finds Nico's hands. So it's good to have him back. And yeah, like Jay said, our first talking point where we kind of hinted at Joe Mixon is a confirmed dog. I mean, I'll pull up the stats here because I have them on ESPN.com. But this game, he had 20 carries, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns, and his longest rush of the day was 45 yards. And that's not even the end of it. He had 2 catches for 44 yards, averaging 27 or not 27, 22 yards, and he averaged 5.5 yards per rush. Like this guy was everywhere. He didn't stop, and I just saw a stat that popped up on ESPN, the TV broadcast. He had like the second most um, yards after contact of this week. I think Derrick Henry was probably above him. I think that's probably self-explanatory. But I mean, he was that guy tonight, and like Shay said, kind of struggled a little bit last week, and to know that we still got our guy Joe Mixon. rushing for as much as he did is big time. And so we love that. We love to see that. Chase?
Uh, yeah, I'm just really glad to see that he's, having, like a good season considering that, the Bengals just dropped him off just like a dog. But he was dropped off like a dog and now he's playing like a dog in the with the Texans, which is amazing because the Texans have been doing a little iffy last couple games, especially since the loss against the Jets ever since, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs were out of the season.
Yeah.
And, that is another talking point I would like to add is Tank Dell really had to step up as, the wide receiver number 1 because, you know, with the two of the top receivers in the league out, is just really tough on a team, especially a team that relies on those receivers for a lot of how they score their points with a rookie quarterback who's still trying to find his place, especially since he's not having the best year this year. He had a lot better year last year so far, and he had only 5 interceptions last year. He already has 7 this year, but I'm hoping he can come back from this I don't know. I guess I don't know really what you could say. Just come back from how he's been playing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, and CJ Stroud he had himself a fine day. I think we're so used to seeing CJ Stroud's kind of miraculous runs where, like tonight, 23 for 34,
hmm
67.7% completed, 257 yards, no touchdowns, an interception, and his longest throw was 37 yards. Like that's kind of like that's not one of you see the touchdown number and you're like, yeah, that's pretty low. Like you wish that was higher. You wish it was at least on the board. But when you have guys like Joe Mixon scoring 3 touchdowns, running for as well as he did, like it's just not possible to take that away from Joe, which is what makes this offense so dynamic. When CJ Stroud has an off day, quote off day, you have guys like Joe Mixon kind of causing that because he runs for what's it, 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like no way could you take away carries from Joe when he's doing that. But the other guy, Dallas side, you give Dallas a little bit of credit. Cooper Rush, we made him look good today, which was unfortunate because he has struggled a little bit, but it just kind of has to happen like that. Someone's got to do it. In the
yeah,
3, 4, 5 games he's played, this has easily been his best game. He next against the Falcons, threw 13 for 25, 115 yards for a touchdown and no interceptions. Well, today, 32 for 55, 354 yards, 58.2 completion percentage with a touchdown and an interception, and his longest was 64. But he was sacked 5 times, which we'll talk about that in a second as well. I think a little bit of that is the fact that he threw 55 times. A lot of that was, because the Cowboys were down a little bit or the whole game. So you got to throw it to, you know, keep the clock running and get big chunk plays when you're down as big as you were. So I would have liked to see his numbers diminished a little bit, but at the end of the day, you kept him out of the end zone.
you know that that brings us to another talking point, which is the defense held strong the entire game, which is entirely true. The defense played, you know, as they did the last game in the first. I guess you say the first half they played absolutely amazing against, arguably the best team right now in the NFL. But you know, it really takes a lot of. I don't really know how to say it, but I guess you could say having a good defense is a necessity considering that we didn't have our best players on offense to start, you know, for us in the last couple of games. So our defense has held strong very well against that. And now that we have Nico Collins back, is it's just amazing because our defense is playing good. Our offensive line has had a massive upgrade in the past game. Especially this game, they held super strong. They played an amazing game. CJ Stroud, I think, only got sacked maybe twice. I don't really know the
I think
numbers.
last time I checked it was 1. I'll double check though.
Okay, but yeah, I think all parts of our defense, defensive line, our safeties, our corners, linebackers, everybody just played amazing this game. Um, and you know that's just amazing for us for right now because we don't have a lot of our great players, especially since Marvin. Why was I about to say Marvin Harrison Jr.? Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah.
Um, is not on the defense, which who is a insanely reliable player and one of our top you know players on the defense, if not the top player on the defense.
Yeah.
And seeing him gone is sad, but our defense has been playing great without him, and I can't wait to see it do even better when he gets back.
Yeah, like you said, it sucks to see guys down like him, especially at his caliber, but at the end of the day, that's part of the game. Every team's gonna have someone that they don't want hurt, but it is hurt. And that's one of those guys for us. We got one of those guys back in Nico Collins who had a bounce back game. I remember I was in class today and I saw the report saying, Nico Collins is a full go for tonight and expect no limited playing time. And today he had 4 receptions for 7 targets, or 7 targets for 4 receptions, 54 yards, and no touchdowns, but that's all right. I'm okay with that because it is his first game back, and you do want to see him kind of ease back into it all. You know,
Hmm.
you have your guys, Tank Dell, Robert Woods, David Hutchinson. You got guys that can still carry the load while Nico Collins gets back in the swing of things. And I think 54 yards is a very good start. I like seeing him out there as much as he can, as much as the game plan called for him to be in. If he was limited still, it wouldn't worry me, but it would have been like, okay, well, he's still not 100%. He's still not where we need him to be after the 5 weeks that he was not playing. But no, he was a full go. Love to see it. Love to see him back. And first play of the game, at least the very first play for the Texans, was a touchdown that got called back because of a holding call. Or, I think it was an illegal man downfield on Tunsil. And that was the length of the field. That was about 75, 70
Oh.
yards. So, though it didn't count, that should tell us right now as Texans fans, our guy is all the way back. Yes?
Um, you know, I've just been seeing like a lot of just great. I mean, Bobby Slowick is doing. I mean, he had a decent game today,
Yeah, he was definitely better today.
and
He called better plays.
and I mean, considering his last game was absolutely an abomination of a game for him because we had an amazing start and then just was an absolute bomb at the end. But that's not this game. We obviously won. In this game, what was the score again?
Uh,
34
34 to
to
10.
something.
That's
34 to 10. And that's just great to see because we love to blow out the Cowboys because I don't like the
Cowboys.
Cowboys, never have, never will. And you know, unless unless the Texans, franchise just explodes and just erases from existence, still probably won't
Yeah,
be a fan of
because
the
then I
Cowboys.
would go somewhere else before them. 31 other teams
Yeah.
to pick from, or I guess 30. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think another thing about this defense is uh, Derek Barnett had a touchdown, a thick
Uh.
six, as people like to coin it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think he got the strip sack. He got the Cooper rush, forced the fumble,
Yeah, he did.
and then
And that
like a
that
lineman
that
picked
was
him up.
a yeah, that was a really big factor to win the game actually. That put us up about 17.
Yeah, that was
And
kind of like a spark.
that was
It felt like that kind of
yeah,
felt like
that was
right.
the
If the defense can do it
That
and they're not supposed to score,
yeah,
then the guys who are supposed to score
exactly,
can do it.
exactly.
Yeah, talk a little
And
about
that was just like a
that.
that was just a really big, like, I guess, inspiring play, you could say, for the offense. You know, they saw that and they're like, dang, we need to really get going because if the
Yeah,
defense doing this, then we got to do it.
right. No, and that play happened because of a lot of different people. Like Derek Barnett started it by getting to the backfield and getting the ball out first, and then I don't know what Cowboy lineman picked it up, but he did, and then Jalen Petrie just came out of nowhere and
Oh
clobbered the
yeah.
guy, and he fumbled it.
Speaking of,
Yeah,
I don't know who. I think it might have been Petrie or somebody. But I was watching a play, and one of the guys on the Cowboys got absolutely boomstick by someone on our team. I think it was like two people, but it was just an absolute explosion. It might have been Petrie, I'm not sure, but someone, someone like that. I
we're
think
talking
it
about the one
wasn't. It definitely wasn't him.
that got called for a penalty.
I think it might have been,
It
but
was
yeah,
late in the
someone just got
game.
absolutely boomsticked.
I think if it's the one I think you're talking about, then yeah, it got called for unnecessary roughness, which in no world was it unnecessary roughness because Petrie hit whoever it was. It was I think it was a tight end for the Cowboys. He hit him shoulder to shoulder, and it was a hit. Like he got him good, but it if it was head to head or Petrie led with the head of like the crown of his helmet, then maybe I can see it. But no, it was shoulder to shoulder, and he just laid a beating on the guy, and they called it. And I just disagreed with that. But that's that defense that we know and we love. Like just come to play, even if you're up 34-10, or it wasn't 34-10 at the time, but still like if there's still time on the clock, these boys are still gonna play, and you just love to see that. That's good coaching right there.
Sorry. Yeah, it is. um, and our defense has just been amazing. Gosh, my voice is scratchy. Has just been
I'll
amazing the
I'll
last.
I'll pick you up a little bit.
Yeah,
It staying on the defense. I wrote it a little prematurely. I got a little excited, but I said Stingley locked up CD. Isn't necessarily true, but Stingley had a good game.
he's been
Uh,
having so many great games.
yeah, I don't know what his primary receiver was. I'm sure it was CD just because our number one corner and their number one wide receiver. But Stingley today had two solo tackles, an interception, and two pass defenses. And CD Lamb, who I'm sure was being guarded by Stingley the entire time, was had 8 catches for 93 yards, no touchdowns, and
Mm,
one for 29 at one for one of them, which is fine.
yeah.
At the end of the day, um, he kept them out of the end zone, kept them from making huge plays like 29 yards. Yeah, that stings, but it's fine. Like it's 29 yards. That wasn't a touchdown, and he did his job. Derek Stingley did his job at the end of the day, which is what it's really all you can ask for. And I think the one touchdown the Cowboys did have was to first name, I don't know, remember, but Tuprin or something
Oh
like that.
yeah, that was a pretty that was a very. I mean, I have to give it to him.
Yeah,
That was a pretty nice
he used
touchdown
his
from
wheels on
them.
that. He used his wheels. It was a
Yeah,
long play,
they
but
did
like,
some kind of replaying, and he was going
yeah,
like 22.8 miles an hour on that.
right. Like if
Crazy.
if you give up one kind of fluke play like that, and it's the only touchdown you give up, so be it. I can live with that. I'm not gonna lose sleep over
Yeah.
like it's not like a oh you could have tackled him here and he broke 5 tackles and he made you look stupid. No, like we probably could have tackled him if we took better angles. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's that one mistake they found the end zone in, so it's all right.
Mhm.
If this game was a little closer, sure, but no, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
And I've been seeing a lot of, from CJ in the last couple of games, he's looked a little bit iffy. And let's just say, there's some play I think it was meant to go to Nico. Nico was running here, and our Cowboys guy is here. He throws it for he throws it for a pick. This was the CJ pick, but he goes and he throws it here while Nico is here, and Nico, puts his hand up, try to block it, but obviously he can't get there in time. Takes a pick, takes it down a few yards, which is unfortunate. Stops probably about here,
Yeah,
but
and I
you
wonder
know,
how much of that is
it
a miscommunication, because we know CJ, we know he's not gonna throw, you know, bad balls that
yeah,
are just a cookie for the defense. There's a couple, but I think some of these. I know there was a fourth down play, kind of deep in the Cowboys area, Cowboys side of the field that was a misunderstanding, and or no, I
yeah,
think no, that's the play you are talking about. No, that's on me. Yeah, I think it was a misunderstanding. I think Nico. I think I don't know who's right. I don't know the playbook, obviously, but Nico kept running like you said. CJ, I guess maybe thought the route ended where he threw it, and it went the other way. But I think that's the only blemish on CJ's day today. You like to
yeah.
see
And
you go.
sorry, I would like to point out that I forgot who. I'm not like a huge fan of the Cowboys, so I don't really know all their players. But whoever that kicker is was like kind of doing insane. Like he was really on point like the whole game. Like bro's
Yeah,
64 yards down
yeah.
here,
He's a dog.
f-
I he's one of the
field goal
yeah he's one of the bigger names in the league. Brendan Aubrey's
field
got
goal
a cannon
here.
on his leg.
Sorry, and he just kicks an absolute nuke right down the zip right through the field goal, which
Yeah,
is
and
kind of
that's a 64
crazy.
yarder. And I first watching it, it looked like it was gonna be good from a lot longer. Like 64 was kind of
Exactly.
where it happened to be, but
I
I
mean,
I think that could have been 66 or
yeah,
67.
it
Like it was a bomb.
it looked like it was just like it was going right down the crack. I mean, like,
Yeah,
the kick was perfect, like
just so
entirely
funny
on point.
because he missed a 40 yarder earlier. Granted, it was close.
Exactly.
It went off the upright, but like
Yeah. And
I don't kick, so I don't know how that makes sense. But it's just kind of funny
yeah.
to see you nail a 64 yarder that would have been good from feels like 70, and your 40 yarder, which is feels like a gimme nowadays when people are booming 64 yarders, you miss the 40 yarder. And I don't know. Yeah, that's just insane
Mhm.
to me.
And there was one play like it was a little embarrassing for Cowboys, but they had could have actually been that 64 yarder. I'm not sure, but they their kicker, you could obviously say he cracked one down here, right down the crack, right down the middle of the field goal, and he made it. But there was holding, and they got it down for the first down, so they're here, and they move up, but they just don't get there. I think it's just stupid. I think you should just take your three. You should move on with it. You should decline that penalty because I mean, if you're gonna start 15 yards down, and you know that this defense has just been really good the entire game and has stopped you. While I mean they barely had gotten any touchdowns, or they literally didn't get any touchdowns when they got up here in the red zone because you know I don't know what was going on with the Cowboys. They were just not doing good. Yeah, once they got up here, they just could not score for their life.
Yeah,
The only
I feel
time
like
they did score was when they were all the way down the field and they just ran up. They just kid they're having so much trouble up here in the red zone. They cannot score up here.
yeah, I feel like I think that that mindset sort of has to change when you're down 24, and you're like, well,
Mhm.
3 points doesn't really do us any good when you're down 24. But like you were saying, yeah, like I think at that point it was still like a 14-point game, maybe even 17. Like I get three is not what you want when you're inside the 10 and like that's like a fourth and two. But you got to get
Mhm.
something to tell your offense or show your offense, see, we can score points. Kind of say like, yeah,
Mhm.
there's a start. But like, yeah, I agree with you. If your guy drains 64, maybe take the points there. I think that's just kind of how that has to go there.
Yeah.
I think that penalty you're talking about
Uh.
was like I think they called it a head slap. I don't know on who, but
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
a head
Yeah. It
slap,
was when they
which
were.
I never heard of. But I mean,
Yeah.
the
It was.
replay it showed a head slap. I guess law of the
Yeah.
land says that is a head slap.
Yeah. Bro. Bro was sitting right here. got his hand. Skadoosh right on that guy. Kicker cheer.
Yeah.
Field
I
goal's
mean,
good.
if I knew it was a penalty, I would have said, "Yeah, that that's a head slap, all right." So you can't do
Sure
much
is,
about it.
and I mean, yeah, you can't do anything. And I'm lucky glad that the guy did slap their head because they didn't get
Right.
any points off of it.
Exactly. No, so
And
it's just kind
that's
of how it goes sometimes.
it's really funny, because I just think it's funny. The Cowboys 12-5 last season, three what is it
3
3-7
and 7 now.
now, which is kind of disgusting considering their roster was pretty stacked at the beginning,
Yeah, I mean, they
but
had a good roster, but just
they just weren't healthy. None
mhm,
of them, none of them. And Dak Cooper Rush is playing better than a healthy Dak Prescott,
it certainly seems like
or
that.
dare I say Dak Pickscott. I mean,
Mhm.
he's playing a terrible season, and he's
Yeah.
out for the season now. And honestly, I'm glad. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad about it, but I'm also glad about it because if he stayed here, could get some more picks. But also, I mean, kind of happy because he had a lot more connections with CeeDee Lamb, who is a top receiver, but not really this season. He's not getting much action because of QB.
Yeah, we had a couple balls where we were like, where I look around like, yeah, we should have had it. We should have picked him off right there. Like Kalen
Yeah.
Bullock is the one I think of late in that game where it was in his hands and he just
Mhm.
flat out dropped it. No ifs, ands, or whats about it. It was he had it and he dropped it. And I think it was that same drive where they had the points, took the penalty, and then didn't end up getting any points, like we were just talking about.
Mm.
So I think we could have done a little more damage. And I just got word that next week the Texans will play the Titans, I believe, in Houston, and the Colts will
Okay.
play the Lions, I believe, in Indy.
Ooh, BTA.
We gotta hope that's a BTA for us, but
I'm
as
calling a
long as we
BTA
take
on that.
as long as we take care of business against the Titans, we'll be okay. And
Yep. I mean, it's
be good.
the Titans are just struggling,
Yeah,
and
they don't have their guy yet. I know
yeah,
they went in thinking it was Will Levis. He just doesn't look like it right now.
and considering they just traded um Derrick Henry, and now he's playing like an absolute dog up
Beast.
in Baltimore. I feel like that's just something that you gotta regret that
Yeah.
a that top running back, number one, probably number one in the league right now, you just gave away. Even I mean, you
Right.
got some good players from it, but I just don't think I don't think that game's gonna be any different than like how we played the Patriots or the Jaguars or anything like that. But it's just
Yeah.
gonna be another BTA moment.
I mean, right now as it stands, ahead of you would be in the AFC. Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. This is not in order, but just names I'm thinking of. Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Steelers. I think the Chargers are really close. They either 'cause they won last night. I think they're 7-3 now.
Yeah.
But we'll get a better seed than some of those guys because as it
Mhm.
stands right now, we're in a good spot to win our division, the South. And that
Mm.
that automatically, if you win your division, obviously it's automatic top 4, and you probably won't outbeat the Bills in terms of seeding.
Ah.
Probably not the Chiefs. And it's kind of a toss-up right now between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Both are playing really good. Pittsburgh did win this last weekend, but it's still super
Wait.
close to where it can end up anywhere.
I mean, this season has been nothing but shocking. I mean, some of these teams that we thought were just going to be absolute trash have been, top teams in the league, such as the Minnesota Vikings, which
Yeah, 8 and
is
2.
probably one of my biggest shocks right now because you know they have a rookie QB. I mean, coming off of a terrible season last season, they you know are having an amazing season right now. They are great in the playoff picture. Super Bowl contenders for sure. I
Need to
don't
be,
really know about Super Bowl contenders,
or at least in
but
conversation. Maybe not
They're in the
pick.
conversation.
They're there.
They're there, but I mean, they're just not. If I had to make a prediction, I'm gonna say right now, the winner of the NFC, it's got to be the Lions,
Yeah.
and the AFC is probably either. Well, I would like to say us, but at the rate we're going, where we're losing to the Jets right now,
Yeah.
eh. I
And we should
mean,
also point out, I think the last point before we go is you see guys like the Titans and the Cowboys just absolutely get smoked by the Lions. Like, not even smoked,
exactly.
just crushed. Like, demoralizing losses. And we were a play or two away from winning against the
Mm,
Lions. So it just kind of puts into perspective. And granted, I know the Cowboys and the Titans aren't those teams. They aren't great teams. So it's kind of like, so what? You beat up on a bottom feeder. But like we hung in there. We we had very real chances to beat
uh-huh,
a 9-1 team. But
uh-huh.
obviously that's not, you don't get any points for almost, you get points for absolutes, and
Yeah.
not not how that ended up. But I think,
And
there you go. What's up?
okay, sorry. Um,
You're good.
on my what I was saying, obviously I meant the Lions are probably gonna win the NFC,
Yeah.
and if I had to guess for the NFC or for the AFC, it would probably be between two teams right now. I would say the Ravens, but I mean you're losing to the Browns, which I mean is just a terrible team. Just lost to the Steelers. It's got to be between the Buffalo Bills and the wait,
No,
are the
that'd be
Bills
my pick.
NFC?
No, Bills are AFC. For me, it'd be
It was Bills
like
and Chiefs. Yeah,
Bills
Bills
and
versus
Chiefs.
Bills and Chiefs. Yeah, Bills and
And
Chiefs. That's
yeah,
what I was
I'm
gonna
not
say.
sure where the 4 seed. So what is it? 1 seed gets the bye. I'm not sure how the bracket. I guess I'll just look at a bracket. This will be the last thing we talk about. But go to Google. We'll go playoff bracket NFL 2024, maybe 2025 probably. If it'll load. Yeah, I don't know how it's set up, but we won't have to play the Bills or Chiefs, I don't think, until a little later in the playoffs if we get there.
I mean, we did actually beat the Chiefs in our.
We did, and
I mean,
we played the Chiefs later
not
this year.
not. I
It'll be a
meant
big
yeah,
test.
not the Chiefs. I meant we beat the Bills
That's right. That's
and
right.
and I mean it was most definitely a close game, but we did. But also we did in that game have Stephon Diggs, Will Anderson Jr., Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Everyone was healthy in that game, which is definitely a big factor because since New Collins have been out, we have been two. I mean, two and something like that. Forgot
Yeah,
since, but when we did have him, we were 4-1.
yeah.
Um, I don't really know.
Yeah, I think I found a bracket that I'm looking for. Took me forever. So the AFC, the fourth the 4th seed, it's the 5 seed. And I don't know who that is right now, but I'm just going off of last year. The fourth would get the 5 seed, the 3 would get the 6 seed, and the 2 would get the 7 seed, and the best team in the conference gets the bye, which right now would be the Chiefs. Buffalo's probably the 2nd seed. The 3rd seed right now, it'd be whoever wins the North, and right now I think that's Pittsburgh. So we as of right now, we'd fall at the 4th seed again. And the 5th seed would be the best remaining team. So that's probably either Baltimore or LA, and I think it's Baltimore, which is a rematch of last year. So that'd be interesting. And it'd be in Houston this time around because we have the better seed.
Mm.
That could be interesting. I I don't know if I'd want that. I think I'd feel more confident in playing the Chargers than I would the Ravens.
Yeah, I I'm just excited, really excited to see how these playoffs are going to turn out cuz most of the teams in the league aren't doing so bad, especially the teams that we thought were going to be doo-doo. But,
Yeah.
such as the Steelers, which we thought were going to be probably terrible. The Vikings also thought they were going to be terrible, probably the worst in the leagues, like kind of like how they were last year.
Yeah, like there's just so many
And
teams that are still in the hunt that can still make a run. Like the Broncos, they just beat a really good Falcons team. Like they're still in it. LA, the Chargers, they're in it. Let's see. You got, you know, the Steelers, the Ravens. Two two of the best teams are fighting for one spot at the top of their division. I know one
yep,
else in that division is really good. The Bengals and Browns were kind of bad. And
yep,
then in the AFC East, there's no one really good. It's only the Bills. And we hate the Colts, but the Colts really aren't out of it right now at 5-6. Like they control their own destiny at this point. Like 5-6 is a okay place to be with, like we said, all these other teams seemingly making runs, making plays, cementing themselves, saying, "Yeah, we belong in this conversation." They can do that in
yeah.
a couple weeks too. They can change their season narrative around like just like that.
Mm. And I mean, where we are now, it's actually a great spot. 7-4, it's not bad at all, considering how some other teams are doing. We
Yeah,
are top of our conference, and
just gotta
it's
handle
it's
your
seeming
business.
like it's gonna stay that way.
Yeah, you take care of your own business. You don't gotta worry about what the Colts, Titans, Jags, or anyone else does. If you just focus on
Exactly.
winning your game, nothing else matters. And I
Exactly.
I think that's about it. I think we've covered
Yep.
everything we really need to. Yeah.
Um.
What do you got?
Yeah.
Final
I
remarks?
I just I just want to say I think we're doing good. I think if we keep up how we're doing against, or like how we did against this team, could make it pretty far in the playoffs. Considering we have a better team than we did last year, um, is great. Everyone just needs to step up their game, especially CJ. He needs to, make better passes, communicate better with his teammates, especially, and you know, just make better plays, especially with Bobby Slowick. And
I agree with that.
yeah, that's about all I have to say.
All right, guys. Well, plan on being back next week. Win, lose, or draw. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, hopefully, it is the first option. And it's a dub for your
Yep.
favorite team.
I
Until
have
then,
to have to
that's
guess.
all we got.
Yep.
Chase and Jackson signing off.
See ya.